Why don't you tell us? Tell us why we'd want an alarm receiving centre.
I'll talk a bit about how the room's made up and what goes into it to make sure that this room always stays operational.
So I was concerned. I didn't know how far I could discuss what you actually had. I honestly can't put into words how impressive this place is.
It's got to be like that because if we've got, we can't leave somebody here on their own, obviously for security reasons.
Cameras are watched on a screen by 2 operators, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Even down to the aircon duct lines are monitored.
Correct.
Like the air.
Everything,
so the air I'm breathing now is monitored.
Correct.
So what's the next steps? Dave, how are we driving it?
The
Why
next step, it's so exciting. Sleepless nights.
Hi guys, Rich from Outsmart. I'm here with the guys today at Spire Monitoring Services, and we're going to be talking through what they offer as a business, how they offer it, and a little bit of story behind the brand. So guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
So my name's Adam Griffiths. I'm the technical director. So I kind of came up with a few of the technical ideas behind how an alarm receiving centre works, trying to future-proof it, think about what should an alarm receiving centre look like, how does it operate, and what can we do to future-proof it in a way that it's going to be available to use for years to come, compared to a lot of other arcs that kind of aren't future-proofed.
Awesome. How about yourself?
Good afternoon, guys. My name is David Pickup. I'm sales director here at Aspire. I take control of the whole sales function, liaising with our installers, and making the process as seamless as possible.
Nice. I like it. We've just spent a lot of time in the business working on processes as well. And to literally see what you do and to try and work them processes in can be quite tough. So obviously that's where you come into it. But something Adam said there, you wanted to create something different and new and something different to a normal alarm receiving centre. So like, I'm sure the guys are going to cut some bits of the alarm receiving centre here. This place is seriously impressive. Yeah. It's not normal. We've got blue LED lighting. We've got cool textured walls. Well, that kind of stuff hides a lot of stuff. So for those who don't know, an alarm receiving centre is designed to have cameras record. Why don't you tell us? Tell us why we'd want an alarm receiving centre.
Well, I'll tell you a bit about how it's built. So the actual alarm receiving centre itself took 2 years to build. From as soon as we acquired the building, it was a shell. There was nothing in here at all. It took us 2 years to build. So first of all, we've got 72 tons of concrete, which is all around this room, so that the room itself is completely bomb-proof.
That's not the foundations.
Nothing to do with the foundations. It's just completely all the walls. We've got so you'll see in here there's no windows. So where the windows were, we've got 7mm steel plating to cover the windows, and then with the concrete on top of it. So the whole room itself is completely bomb-proof and is protected from
quite literally.
Literally bomb-proof. Yeah.
I know where I'm coming when World War III kicks off.
Exactly. Yeah. So and obviously, entrance into the room, we've got a full airlock, which is what you see in like banks.
So I was concerned. I didn't know how far I could discuss what you actually had. I honestly can't put into words how impressive this place is. So for a geek like myself, I absolutely love it. So you come into the building.
Yep.
You know, there isn't a key.
Nope.
There's no front door.
Nope.
So technically you don't even have a key to your own building.
Correct.
So basically you come and approach a camera. There's an intercom system.
Yep.
And then you come in.
Yep. So you
don't come in. You don't come straight in.
So you're only allowed. So there's only myself and David who are allowed to accompany people in. So if we've got visitors, it's going to be either one of us that kind of allows them to go in. You can't just turn up and obviously press the buzzer, knock on the door.
Can I put my cameras on your system, please?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not that simple. But it's the way it's like that is to stop. Obviously, people that shouldn't be coming here. We're high security. We're the highest you can get. There's no higher security than this room.
200% vouch for that.
Yeah.
200%.
So it's got to be built like this for a purpose.
Yeah.
So if we're monitoring, whether it be government buildings, MOD, police stations, or even if it's just
you can say anybody. Celebrities and footballers.
Of course, we've got a few of them.
Yeah.
So there's nothing we can't.
Don't forget how smart them. Also, follow how smart.
Yeah. So they're the highest kind of category sites that we look after.
Yeah.
So if, for example, there's a lot of people think that a bank has got police response. There's no such thing. It has to come to a place like this, and then we notify the relevant police to attend. So if we're looking after, say, Barclays Bank and the alarm goes off, it comes to us. But if we're not here and able to obviously respond to that alarm, who's going to notify the police?
So it's physically you that notify
So it's
the police.
physically us that has to ring the police and say, yeah, we've just had a notification from Barclays Bank. There's a break-in. We can see it. If we're not here or we're held up for whatever reason and we can't do our job, then nobody's going to know until someone drives past. So that's why we've got to be just as well protected as the banks and places like that, which is why we can't let ourselves
I think
in.
you're more protected than a bank.
Well, I think, yeah, you're probably right, yeah. Which is why we're not allowed to let ourselves in. Obviously, we have the airlock there for security purposes, so nobody can just run in when the door's open. So obviously, and it's physically impossible to open both doors at the same time.
And they're not just normal doors, are they?
They're not just normal
so just
doors.
in case everyone's thinking they could come here and kick down the door, I'm going to tell you can't kick down the door. They are proper
doors,
security doors.
Yeah.
Ballistic proof.
Yep. Kevlar in them. It'd be quicker to go through the concrete walls than it would be to try and go through the doors.
For sure.
So they've got to be there to obviously protect the main way in and out. There's cameras everywhere in this. You literally can't move.
Everywhere. There's more cameras than is currently set up on this podcast table. That is a lot. There is a lot of cameras on this building.
So it's got to be, and obviously when you go into the airlock, the door shuts behind you. The staff inside can see, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's just those people." Obviously, you've got to make yourself aware before you come in who's going to be visiting, who's there.
Yeah, I mean, we had a quite tough signing procedure this morning. I've got a visitor badge, which I've taken off for now, but full signing.
Yep.
The books everybody in. People know. What about yourselves? Do you work in the building? Do you guys work here, or do you work outside of it?
Yeah, our sales operations upstairs and our admin.
Oh, so you have all that outside?
Yeah.
So they stay outside the building. Who do we have? Who stays in here?
Just operators.
Just operators.
Yeah.
And you say operators, and that's actually something probably worthwhile picking up on. How many people are in here?
At the minute, there's a minimum of 2.
Minimum of 2.
24 hours a day.
365 days a year?
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's
what about if they need to nip off for lunch?
They can't leave this room.
So they can't nip off for lunch, and I actually knew that. So there is a kitchen and even a toilet.
Yep.
You have kitchen, toilet.
Yep.
This building is completely self-sufficient. So once they're on shift, that's it.
Yep.
There's no getting out. I think I might have to implement something similar in our offices, actually, after having seen this, you know.
Yeah. But it's got to be like that, because if we've got... we can't leave somebody here on their own, obviously for security reasons. I'll talk a bit about how the room's made up and what goes into it to make sure that this room always stays operational. So from a power point of view, obviously we are on the mains, but we have a battery backup that powers everything in this room.
I've seen the UPS, right? Obviously, as part of our projects, we use UPSs in general. And obviously, the media guys have seen it. When Cam had seen the size of their UPS, he was like, is that whole thing the UPS? It's huge.
It did, yeah. We had to use a big jack to get it in.
Yeah.
Because it was that heavy.
I can imagine.
So that basically, the second the power drops, it automatically kicks in. So when you're inside here and the power's to fail, you wouldn't really know apart from a little beep in the corner.
Yeah.
That tells you the power's failed. And then we have a generator which is caged in at the back.
So even if that battery runs out, which lasts quite a while anyway.
4 hours on the UPS.
4 hours.
But that battery is supposed to be there as kind of a fail safe, because the battery is obviously instant power.
Yep, it'll just jump straight over,
Yeah, the generator takes about 30 seconds to obviously warm up and kick in. So as soon as the generator's ready, UPS will then obviously turn off. Well, it's always on, but it's
on standby, yeah.
So, we have what's called an automatic transfer switch, which just always keeps the power live.
And you actually said we could test that today.
Yeah,
I'm going to hold you to that.
That's fine. We'll do a test on that
We'll
later.
do a test.
So it's really clever.
Generator kicks in.
And then
all
that's
seamless with no interest. So you're not relying on one of your operators having to kick it in. That will do it.
Yep.
Now, there is actually something really cool on the wall in Alarm Receiving Centre that monitors all that.
Yep.
That is all controlled by a full BMS system.
Correct, yeah.
You have monitoring screens on the wall that is telling you live health of all your backup systems.
Exactly.
And even the airflow. Like, they've got aircon throughout the whole building.
Yep.
Well, but it's like quite fresh aircon, isn't it?
Yep.
But even down to the aircon duct lines are monitored.
Correct.
Like the air.
Everything,
so the air I'm breathing now is monitored.
Correct. So if somebody was to... So people think, right, well, surely we can just throw, I don't know, a gas bomb into the air intake and it'll knock them all out, and that's fine. impossible. As soon as they get the sensors pick up that the air quality is not right, it will shut the valve off. So that will stop the bad quality air from getting in. Obviously, it'll set loads of alarms off in here.
Yeah.
To tell us that that's what's happened. So it's very difficult to do it. And I think even if something was to happen in here where the operatives were to, I don't know, collapse, there's a button on the wall that you have to get up every hour and press it.
Right.
If you don't press it, it goes through to somewhere else, and then the police will be here within a couple of minutes.
So therefore, I'm not surprised you work outside out of here. In terms of your role within the business, I can quite clearly see Adam is the tech man. In your sales capacity, how does that come into helping what you're trying to do with Aspire?
Okay. We started working with quite a large number of, a growing number of installers throughout the UK, and educating them how easy it is to use an ARC for monitoring the CCTV. Historically, they may have been put off by bad experiences they've had and so on and so forth. But we've simplified the process. And as I said before, bringing on board a new client, whether that be an existing client or a new site, it's pretty seamless and pretty straightforward. And
I won't lie, I'm actually the person you're describing there. So we do a lot of technology, obviously within our business anyway, with obviously the smart homes and the technology and security and stuff. We work with security contractors, but in terms of even alarm, I knew there was alarm monitoring, but CCTV, I knew it was there, but I thought, bloody hell, well, that sounds like it's going to be complicated for it to add our system. So when Adam had said, well, why don't we get yours on the system? I thought, bloody hell, it's going to be it's going to be a pain, is this? And I couldn't believe, the process behind it, completely painless. You had it on, and within about an hour, you said, right, I can see you.
Yep.
You see, the beauty is, because we built this from the ground up, we've ironed out all the problems that we might have. So as we grow as a business, we've got the procedures and processes in place to deal with everything. It's pretty straightforward. Whereas historically, companies similar to ours who've been going for a long time, they're set in the ways. They've not got the tech that we've got, and they're not. They just don't have the processes that we have.
Yeah, and I suppose that's probably a key thing to pick up on, and what differentiates you from other businesses. You've obviously analysed what current ARCs are doing, or their procedures, the way that they're doing things, the way they're onboarding people, and going, there's a better way to do this.
Yeah, I've been on the end of as an installer a few years ago.
So that was your main back. You come from an installer to wanting to do this.
Yeah, so it was very.
So you filled in all the paperwork.
I've done the paperwork, and it was It was really painful, and I think it was difficult for us as a business to sell monitoring because it was all the paperwork that you've got to fill out was just difficult. It was overcomplicated, and I think it needed to be all the ARCs were the same. They never wanted to kind of think, well, how simple should it be? It should be really straightforward. It should be a couple of questions, connection details, key holders, right? Fantastic, submit. But it's not. It's just too long-winded, and I think they want to change.
You've digitised that, so your installers are doing it for you.
On site, on a tablet, or on the smartphones.
Well, depending on the size of the installer, they sometimes have a back office that can do it. So it's all straightforward to do, really straightforward. So it means we can onboard really quickly.
Yeah. So once onboarded, then what they will do here with the cameras, probably a key thing to mention while we've got all of this. So the cameras will be I can see them from where I'm sat here. The cameras are watched on a screen by two operators, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Correct.
And having actually had experience now here working with yous, but having alarm camera monitoring is actually more important than alarm monitoring.
It's first line. A lot of people think your intruder alarm is your first line of defense.
Literally.
CCTV second. It's not. It's the other way around.
It is. And because you're knowing before they've got in the building.
Correct.
So you're not relying on them getting in the building and having the effect it might have on a family, having
causing the damage as well.
The damage, physical breaking. You are getting them from the second they step into the boundary.
So I'll tell you a bit about how the CCTV detection works. So there's a number of ways that the CCTV can pick up people. A lot of people think, yeah, you're right. People just stare at loads of screens. But surely if you've got a 30-foot video wall, it's impossible to look at every single camera that's on there. It doesn't work like physically live watching it. So every single time somebody walks in front of a camera, we can draw boxes. We can use line crossing. There's a number of ways that we can use analytics to basically generate a detection. Again, a lot of people think that we get loads of false alarms. I know that I won't mention the brands, but there's a lot of people that think all these false alarms that are coming through, you might have Ring doorbells that say, you get loads. People can ignore it after a couple of days, but with us.
I'm going to say, just break in on you there, even with using boutique, high-end security brands setting up the alerts, there sometimes can be, get to the point on your own phone, I'm talking my personal experience from clients, go mad, they want lines and box detections right the way around the property, but it actually comes to living with it, ping, 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 don't even look at it, turn off the notification. So I think that's really important that those notifications, and again, your experience of even creating those notifications, you'll have got the line crossings and box detections and the sensitivity levels to a fine art. And then again, if you were finding one was oversensitive, could tweak it. So rather than those alerts coming through to my mobile phone and getting ignored, they're coming to you 24 hours a day. You're then pulling it up onto the big screen because you've had an alarm. You're then deciding, right, it is a tree just blowing, or it is just a cat running.
Well, we've got some fancy technology which is AI based, so it's self-learning all the time. So let's say we've got a camera that is constantly giving us false alarms, which could be trees, it can be dogs, it can be animals that set it off all the time. So we use some false alarm management software, which takes the alarm footage, looks at it and goes, right, is that a car? Is it a human? If it's
Things
not,
have just gone up a notch.
If it isn't, it doesn't even get presented to the operators in here. It just gets disregarded.
So they know then. So rather than them being on the receiving end of all these notifications and thinking, they are just getting real notifications.
Correct. So they only get the alarms. So the software itself, the AI, people think, oh, what about the alarms, the genuine alarms that might get missed? The software is very clever. Don't get me wrong, we do get false alarms that come through. So I'll give you an example. There's a property that we look after. There was 36,000 alarms within a week. Putting that software on, we only got 200. So it filtered out that many alarms, and we went through them all. There was no false positives. They were all. There was a couple that came through that were kind of like were false alarms, but we'd much rather have 200 alarms that we can properly look at and make sure, is that genuine alarm? Do something with it, rather than constantly clicking, is it all these false alarms? We don't want that.
So if we did get an alarm, so we're in the receiving centre. The alarms are going off. Well, they've seen the alert go up. They've pulled the cameras onto the big screen. What's the next step?
So it depends if so with the CCTV, we can always, if you can visually verify it, we can always police it. We can always ring the police. With intruder alarms, unless you've got a URN, we're not allowed to. So because there's so many false alarms with intruder alarms, we have to, unless we've got a URN, we have to just ring the key holders. The police won't attend. Otherwise, they'd be attending quite a lot. So the best thing for us is CCTV. You can live view it. We can always police it if we see somebody breaking in.
And again, we keep going back to it, but that's, for me, that's better than that. We've had an alarm on it forever. And sometimes they might ring us if the alarm's accidentally gone off or something. But this, if our alarm had gone off, you could check all the cameras, check where the cameras are at, check what's actually going on. And I think usually your first line is to phone the homeowner. Obviously, if there's 6 masked men at the door, I don't think it's for the homeowner. It's going to be straight into the police. But say for us, even the level that they are watching and monitoring and learning the buildings and sites even that they work with. So say for our office, we quite often come in on a weekend, or we'll work on a weekend and stuff, and say, Rob actually came in the other Sunday, and I got a phone call from Gareth, is it? I got a phone call from Gareth, sorry, and he phoned me and was like, oh, I had somebody turn up at the building. They said, oh, he's got a green hat on. I said, oh, no, it's I mean, you guy. He's always got his green hat on. Always.
So a URN is a unique reference number. It's supplied by the police. So if a site has a URN, it means that we're allowed to, so we don't ring 999 with a URN site. We have a direct number for the local police force. So as soon as the alarm comes through, it loads up on the software. It'll say, okay, intruder alarms come through, or CCTV has come through, and it'll actually give us a local number for the police force. So Cheshire Police, our area is 01625. The actual police number that we ring is an 01625 number. Goes straight through to the control room. There's no 999, oh yeah, what do you want? It's straight through, give them the reference number.
And they obviously know what you do, and they know if you're phoning them, like there's a bit of a joke in it these days that a pizza can get to your house faster than the police. Quite literally can, but if I'd imagine that if somebody with a facility like this and the business and the certification will come on to that set with the level that you are operating at, if you ring Cheshire Control Room, they're going to have somebody there as fast as they can.
The police love to catch people.
If you're in a position where you said, listen, they've got this, is this by your property, they're probably just going to send that response straight away. You know,
Depends
probably
on-
would.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
If we
they'd obviously
see-
analyse the situation.
Yeah, yeah.
But
At the end of the day, they want to drive the crime figures down.
100%.
And an alarm going off in the middle of the night, like we've all experienced at home, 2:00 in the morning, is that bloody alarm going off?
Yeah.
They don't attend.
No.
Whereas you've got a visual of someone, they'll be there because the end goal for them is to get the crime figures down.
100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, being where Cheshire is, Golden Triangle, and obviously the client base that you'll have here and the people, how do we find that, Dave, within the business? Is the majority of clients from around here? Are they?
No, we work UK wide. We're even started monitoring some gyms over in Spain and Italy. Yeah,
Right.
so we can cover the whole of the UK and
I
abroad.
suppose because of how
people with holiday homes in Mallorca, Marbella, wherever, we can monitor them for them.
Yep.
Our it's endless. The possibilities of how our services can be used.
We'll get onto the accreditation bit after, but we are fully accredited. The accreditation we've got is an EN accreditation, so we are recognised in the whole of Europe as an accredited alarm receiving centre. So they're not allowed to not work with us abroad. And the software is very clever. Don't get me, the guys in here can't speak loads of different languages, so unless it's English, we have the software we use is multilingual. It will ring them, and it'll ring the key holders or it'll ring whoever it needs to ring, and we'll speak to them in their language. They can't talk back, but they can. Just ring them and say, "Yeah, the alarm's going off. This is the address. Can somebody attend?" And it will do that automatically in whatever language it might be. Which is
you thought of everything. I really do
Correct.
think you thought of everything. I'm very impressed. So yeah, you said there, I mean, a lot of our clients, they will have the main residence in the UK, but a lot of them will have a separate place elsewhere.
Yep.
And obviously being able to do the both again because they'll build a relationship over time with you guys. Again, they're putting their trust into you as well, and they'll build up that level of trust with you.
Yeah.
And I feel this. I mean, what lie? I don't. At our office, especially even. I know a lot of our clients and probably share clients, what value they've got in the building, in jewellery, property, cars, the rest of it. I don't have anywhere near that in our office. I mean, I've probably got £500,000 of assets in the building.
Yeah.
But the peace of mind something like this gives me, let's say worst case scenario, there was a fire in our warehouse one night.
Yep.
You'd probably, assuming see it on the cameras, see what was going on there, and then that kind of stuff is covered.
Yep.
So obviously you've got this really fancy setup here. What's the day-to-day operations? Obviously you've got you guys. I'm sure you're not doing it yourself. You've got other team members.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of different departments. So upstairs in the offices, it's the same size as all of this.
Yeah.
We've got obviously accounts. We've got admin, which looks after all the paperwork and the obviously the admin side of it. We've got an onboarding team. So as soon as we receive the information from an installer, we goes to our onboarding team who can then look at that and obviously make sure it gets loaded onto the software and is then walk tested to make sure it basically just fits in correctly. Yeah,
so Kieran did that at our place with you guys. It was on for an hour going through, right? Check the cameras, ensuring that all the alerts are coming through properly.
Yep.
And how about the people watching the alerts? Do the same people do that?
No, it's a different team. So the guys, the operators are just operators. They are responding to alarms as they come through. That's all they do.
Yeah.
Allow them to focus on it. It's a separate team that does the onboarding, separate team to do the admin, and the tech support as well. So we have. It just means that
so these guys aren't even having to do tech support.
No. They are there to just focus on responding to alarms as they come through.
Yeah,
which is what we want them to do, really.
So I mean, from where I'm sat here, I can see. I mean, we've got quite a team in there watching the cameras, and they presumably that team of people is in there
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day.
24/7, 365.
Yep.
365.
Yes.
That's a hefty wage bill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lots of, it's awesome. So aside from the stuff that they're monitoring, we've gone through the obvious stuff. They're looking at cameras.
Correct.
They're looking at alarm systems.
Yep.
Can we pull the website up and can we have a little look through the website? Cool. So have a little look through the website here then.
Yep.
Obviously Cctv. We're doing intruder alarms.
Yep.
So that there, BS 95979 and NSI Gold standards. Tell me a little bit more about that then.
So each standard has got an accreditation. So the NSI Gold is the kind of blanket accreditation. So for technical terms, our accreditation is BSEN 50518, and it's the 2019 standards. That's the latest one.
You said that once or twice, Dave, hasn't he? He's practiced that one.
Rehearsed it.
I need to revise that one.
So that means that, and it's an EN accreditation, which means that we're obviously fully accredited throughout Europe. So there's all the sites we are recognised through Europe to monitor.
Again, you said before you've got some stuff coming up for some
Correct.
gyms in Spain.
Yep.
Whether it be clients' holiday homes, no matter what it is, you can cover it.
Yep.
You see the fire alarm stuff?
Correct. Yes. So the fire alarms, if they're what's EN54 compliant, we can monitor them. So we are fully accredited to look after fire alarms as well.
Monitor that as well. So you'd receive an alarm input off a relay on the panel.
Yep.
And you see that from that site.
That's it. Yeah.
That's just presumably if they've got cameras, you check if building was on fire. But if not, straight to fire brigade.
Correct.
From a monitoring centre.
Yep.
We've got an alert from a panel.
Correct. Yep. That's it. And it's all insurance approved as well because we're NSI Gold.
So their insurance is going to cover it.
Correct. Yeah.
In fact, since you mentioned insurance, I know they definitely do for early alarms. And I mean, presumably the CCTV stuff will probably come in more and more as things comes out. Now, I actually don't know if I say this or not, but there is a technical insurance term I used to tell people when I fit smaller alarms, long before Out of Smart, when I used to work as an electrician full time. Like, if you have an alarm, don't tell your insurance company you've got an alarm, obviously on small houses, not super homes. Don't say you've got an alarm, or you have, but you forget to set it. So like one time you forget to set it, it's not going to be covered. Obviously on this kind of stuff, completely different scale, but insurance companies will actually speculate.
So if you forget to set your alarm, we also get a notification.
Right.
So we have a lot of sites where it might be staff that work in a restaurant or something, and a lot of the time they forget to set the alarm and they leave. Yeah. We know that they close at, say, 11 o'clock, so we know the staff are out by 12. 12:30, if the alarm's not set, we get a notification to say there's a close overdue, which means we then contact the key holders and say, obviously we'll look at the cameras, are people there?
Still there.
We can then contact the key holders, which might be the owners who might not ever be there, and say, the alarm's not been set, can you have a look? And obviously 99% of the time it's because the staff have just left and forgot to set it, which means if it's not set, we don't know about it.
You are full of surprises.
Full of surprises. We thought
like
there's no bases uncovered.
There isn't. Well, there isn't though, isn't there? Like it is in terms of. I've said it before. Like people think they can buy a camera, or I don't know. Oh, well, I've put some ring floodlight cams on my house, and I get alerts to my phone. What are they?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Useless. Like this is. Yeah, you've got the hardware, but we are getting you value out of it, and that's kind of like with what we do as well. The smart homes and the smart homes. And this is like this. The security system. And there is a security system, and all you're doing is taking the hardware that's there, and giving it 100% potential.
Yep.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Trackers.
So
we've got trackers on all our vehicles, haven't we, boys?
So the reason for the trackers is obviously car gets stolen. It all ties in. If we're looking after a premises and we see the vehicle get stolen, it's very straightforward for us to then be able to track a vehicle straight away.
Literally, client could be asleep,
correct,
on holiday, out of the country, at business, at work. You see somebody's house getting broken into.
We see the car.
They get a tick in the car. Go straight onto Cheshire Police or wherever police's direct line. Giving them the coordinates live of the car, so the chances are you're going to get that back.
Very likely.
Unbelievable. Deal with installations. So you got partners
all across the UK.
That's good. I've had a good partner network in the UK.
That's good. So we obviously we don't do any installs ourselves. We're independently owned, so we don't want to partner with. Sorry, we don't want to have installers with us. We want to focus on one thing, which is the monitoring, and we want to do that perfect.
Gives a clear divide as well, and there's no conflicts of interest between the two parts of the business. We are doing alarms. Are we doing the monitoring? Well, you fit it. We'll look after it.
Exactly. We installers specialize on installing. Obviously, we can specialise on the monitoring. It just makes things. Partnership there is just ideal. It works really well. So there's no point trying to. And a lot of the other arcs out there do have their own installation arm.
Well, there's that one I showed you earlier on Instagram that they had nothing like what you had here. But they had a little monitoring station where they monitored their own alarms to fit. But as you highlighted, they are even actually accredited. So they're monitoring these, but. Technically, the monitoring, it's not really worth the paper it's written on.
No, because it's not insurance approved. They don't have the accreditations that the insurance do request.
And same as anything, really. If people are looking at doing something, you're supposed to do your research. Because with that accreditation, see that I wouldn't think. I would think as, if I'm getting my cameras monitored or my alarm's monitored, where you're saying, if they did get breaking in, say, yes, you may be monitored. But if they're not insurance approved, May as well not have it monitored anyway.
Exactly, yeah. And I think sometimes the insurance companies do ask for certificates. So we, with every site, once it's commissioned, we do send out an acceptance certificate, which shows that the site has been commissioned and is basically up and running,
Live
and it is live. And obviously, our certificate that shows that we're accredited, because we get audited every 6 months.
Good deal.
So yeah, the National Security Inspectorate turn up every 6 months to check our procedures. There's nothing in this room we don't have a procedure for. Everything is like disaster recovery.
We are all over the procedures.
Yeah.
They look like the procedures.
I'm the procedure man.
You're setting the procedures, but obviously the install part. That's probably your job.
I just wanted to jump in there, to be honest. What a typical, we, like Adam said, we don't do any installs ourselves. But what we will find is we'll get monitoring for a client, and then one of their friends will come around and say, "Oh, what's this monitoring? I want that." And they might not have a CCTV system, so they'll come to us and say, "Can you do that for us?" So in those circumstances, we would then farm that job out to the installer that we're working with in the area.
Oh, great!
Yeah, we've given out loads
obviously we want them. They'll do the install, and we want the monitoring from it.
Yeah.
So it works ideal.
Yeah, so it's a good partnership.
Yes,
and presumably you'll then be tasked with bringing more partners on board.
Absolutely,
more security guys.
Yeah.
Did I have to have any accreditations themselves directly for it, or could?
So if it's monitored, so they don't have to have an accreditation for us to monitor it. The only reason they would need an accreditation is for to get the URN, which obviously we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, if they need the police response.
If they need police response, you have to be accredited. Now, because CCTV monitoring is quite new, I think there isn't really a direct accreditation to have for that. Obviously, apart from your NSI ones, but there are a lot of installers that don't have that, and we do look after a lot of them. As long as it's installed correctly, there's no reason why we can't take it on and look after it.
So it's good. So again, then I suppose you've got your main security.
Yep.
You know about a lot of electrical contractors these days. So I think the CCTV is part of that package. So again, they'd be able to do that with you. What would be the onboarding process, Dave? So if I was an installer, well, as we are an installer, we've onboarded with yourselves. If I wanted my business to be able to work with you guys, what's the best contact? Have we got something on the website or?
You can contact us through the website. Any initial sales inquiries will come through to my team. We'll speak to you. We'll talk about your needs and potential business that we can do for you. Typically, an installer will come down here for a meeting, have a look at the setup. Myself and Adam can go through the whole setup and what we have to offer. And then we talk about what sites they want to bring over to us. If it's existing sites, then we'll book an appointment for them to be on site and book a time in the diary with the onboarding team to bring the cameras over, and the same process really for a new site. To bring a site on board, it goes through the onboarding team. The forms are, as we've mentioned before, can be filled out on a smartphone or a tablet on site. They come into the onboarding team, they're checked, make sure we've got all the details, and then goes live. It's very, very simple, very straightforward
process.
And what we also haven't mentioned, what a great income stream. People are missing out on it at the moment. There's lots of companies out there that have lots of cameras that are able to be monitored, but they're not monitored. And for the cost that's involved, it's a great income stream.
Yeah, I was actually, in terms of the cost to have it done, I could believe it when when you told us to cut. I thought, for that kind of level, to have a team of people watching your house 24/7, 365, effectively, if there's an alert, for that level of peace of mind,
worth doing.
It is, not even worth doing. I'd say literally a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah,
it's a no-brainer. And when we put that into our customers, and when we mention it to it, it's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to come out and do the podcast with you, so people would see the process, actually understand what's happening behind the scenes. It's just not like an alarm, and they'll actually can live view the cameras.
There's also another thing that we forgot to mention. We've got a very clever bit of software that, let's say you've got an NVR on site that's working away. Well, if that was to break, let's say the hard drive fails on it, what are the chances that the installer's going to know? Well, unless they've got something set up to notify them, very unlikely. With us, we get a notification. So we've got a very clever piece of software that is constantly pinging and constantly speaking to all the systems out there. As soon as there's a fault, whether it be a faulty camera, a faulty NVR, a hard drive gone corrupt, we know about it straight away, and we can then alert the installer and say, just like hard drives failed, there's no recording at this site, you need to go and fix it. Because there could be nothing more frustrating for an installer to go get a call from the client saying they've been broken into, they try and download the footage and realise there's nothing there, it's been corrupt. Yeah. Whereas the software that we use tells us straight away. We can then send an automatic alert to the installer and say, look, camera's down, you need to go fix it, or hard drives failed. There's a number of things that that we look after as part of the kit that your average installer won't know. They won't know. Even some of the bigger installer companies will not know that there's something gone wrong with their piece of kit until they service it.
Different if they service it.
If they service it.
You're presuming they're going to service it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just worth pointing out, we had an installer in this morning who was blown away with the setup. And he was asking about cameras with voice. With our tech, we can monitor cameras with voice.
Yeah, he was actually told by another ARC that they couldn't basically audio challenge through the cameras, but it is doable, and we're set up to do
challenge?
It. So if we see somebody on site, and obviously the quickest way to respond to it is to use the speakers either built into the camera or a tannoy system on site, and we can talk to them and say, you're on private land, you shouldn't be there, police are on the way. To be fair, 99% of the time, the people who are on the site do leave because they're like, wow, somebody's watching me.
Literally, if I'd broken into a house or attempted to break into the house, jumps into the garden and someone shouted at me, we're a monitoring centre, we're watching you, we're going to phone the police. If you don't leave,
correct,
I'll be straight back over the fence.
Exactly, yeah.
So no, Rob, I actually, another chap that come in this morning, Rob, so we do a lot of security work together in Cheshire. When I was coming over here today, I said, come over and see it, and he was impressed.
Yeah,
it is. You can't not come to this place and not be impressed.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time making sure it not only looks good, but it also operates the way it should do. And obviously, technology is so important for places like this, especially with the tech changing. You'll know that technology changes all the time, so it's being ahead of that curve and making sure. Well, as soon as this new tech came out, where speakers were built into the cameras, well. Are we there ready to monitor it? Yeah, of course we are. We've already spoken to the manufacturers. We already know that it can integrate in, and we know we've got it working.
And even further from that, for people that have the pan-tilt zoom cameras,
correct.
So PTZ cameras, you showed me before.
Yeah.
You've literally got a joystick in the control room where the operators, there's a few of them dotted about.
Yeah.
And the guys can literally grab a PTZ, especially not smart tracking on it is, and manually take control of it. Because sometimes them smart tracking cameras, you think they're good and they're actually tracking the wrong thing. And your operator can make the decision, I'm going to take control of that, and your camera's going after the wrong thing if there was an actual incident.
Exactly, yeah. So that we've used that quite a few times when we've had people trespassing. We take control of the camera, follow it, where they go in, zoom right in. You don't get a better face shot of somebody by zooming straight in, and it's great, works really well.
Wicked.
Works really well.
So, we'll come back onto that then. So if people were interested in the monitoring, or even, like you say, potentially if it was even an end user. So correct, people think that they should just aimed at like security and tech guys. If it was an end user that wanted to get this, chances are you'd have a company that you could recommend to tie that together. Yeah,
exactly. Because it's got to be, you need an installer to look after the kit.
Yeah, for sure. So someone just can't buy 4 Swan cameras from Screwfix and then give you a phone. Can you check my cameras for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely not.
No, it's got to be done properly. And now the cost has come down, and it is affordable, and it's so easy to do. You just get an installer. We would recommend somebody to come out, do a service on it, check that everything's working, walk test it with us, and that's it. We can monitor it straight away.
Awesome. So we'd mentioned, obviously, aside from the services, then we've mentioned an SI a few times. So on your website, you actually have an Accreditations tab. The highest level of accreditation.
The gold standard.
So is there any parts of that you want to mention?
So it just means that as part of your NSI, there are a lot of subcategories. We decided we needed to get them all so that there's nothing we can't turn down. Being able to look after not only CCTV, but fire, intruder, it certainly, it means when we're speaking to installers or customers, there's nothing we can't say, oh, sorry, we can't look after your intruder alarm, but we can your CCTV. Because there are a lot of ARCs out there that can only do one thing. They might be able to do intruder alarm, but they can't look after your CCTV. So we thought, well, when we're doing it, we'll do it properly. We'll set it up so we can look after everything.
Do the lot. So massively, massively impressed with everything you've got here. And obviously, even I've today have learned stuff that we could do with you that, or even the levels that you're doing it to, that I was aware of. And as cool as it all is, and as much as I love it all, how about you? And how about the pair of you? Tell me about this. Where was the idea born? Is it a new venture?
So a few years ago, it was I was working with a lot of ARCs as an installer and an integrator, and I think I was very techie, so I always saw, well, what is it going to be like in the future? What's the security industry going to be like in a few years? And one of the issues I always had was with alarm receiving centers, the monitoring. Obviously, I was doing a lot of CCTV. There was no alarm receiving centers that really enjoyed doing CCTV. And I think I saw a massive gap, did a lot of research into it, designed a place that's quite cool, and thought, well, it'd be cool to build that one day, but 'cause it looks smart. And I think there was, and then eventually one day I just got fed up of it and thought, you know what, let's try and see if we can build it. Let's see if we can do something like that. It was a very long 2 years, a lot of research.
I can imagine. And even, like you say, you've had to somehow get 72 tons of concrete into this place.
Yeah. It was, it was.
And even all the finishes, because like you mentioned before, it's not just like a normal arc. It's very modern. It's got a high-tech feel.
Correct, yeah.
To go with actually what's going on. There is obviously lots of tech screens everywhere, but it feels even premium from when you come in.
Yep.
You walk into your airlock.
Yep.
The blue LEDs and the blue lights are on in there. Yep. It just has that premium feel to it.
Yeah, because I think when we were designing it, as we were building, and we were thinking, what do we want it to look like? Well, we want it to look futuristic. If we're to be an alarm receiving center that is futuristic, it's got to look it. It's got to give people and give our clients and installers like the confidence that, wow, this place, they've spent a lot of money on it. It does look really good. It just gives you more confidence. I think if you had an installer that came in and just saw like a call center with a couple of desks and a few screens on the desk, it wouldn't give me the confidence to kind of allow them to monitor my customers. Whereas if you come in here and you see a big video wall and you see loads of screens and you see
what's going on is to let you know, doubt your mind.
I think it's fair to say that when the plan was put to our investors, we to a certain extent, we had an open checkbook because we wanted it to be right from the start. We wanted the right tech. We wanted the right spec. We wanted to be future-proof. We wanted to be able to cover every eventuality, down to our power supplies and our lease lines and our air supply and everything. We're absolutely rock solid and future-proof.
It is over-specced for what it needs to be. I think we've got the lease lines that we've got. Our internet is brilliant. It's great.
Yeah, I bet.
But we've got 2 lease lines, and I think one of them comes from one exchange and one comes from another. So from outside the building, they go in different directions.
So even if someone tried saying, these are IP cameras, someone wants to chop the cameras off,
doesn't matter.
Good luck. Basically, good luck. 'Cause even if you chopped it off, there's going to...
And then we've got a backup of that as well. So it's crazy.
Got a backup of the backup of the backup. That's the same with everything, though.
Yeah,
with internet, with power.
Yep.
With all the systems in place in here, there's multiple computers and stations. There's
We've also got we've got internally we've got duplicates of the servers. So we've got redundant servers in house. We've then also got a group owned data center in Manchester that houses our off-site servers. So if we go into DR, which is disaster recovery, and this place is obviously can't function as an alarm receiving center anymore, everything's off-site. We've got an alarm receiving center that we go to. All the storage and all the servers, all the processing is done then through the data center. So we've got a backup of a backup. So it means we can keep going.
Faultless. Literally faultless.
What we had to do is make sure that we minimise the failure points, and I think we've got all bases covered, and I think we've succeeded in that. Yeah,
exactly, I can't go too much detail about what our disaster recovery is, but it's it's got to be done the way that obviously the standard is typed up the way that it needs to be. But we will always stay running. It'd be very, very, very difficult. Or it'd be, I'd say, almost impossible to kind of stop
literally almost impossible.
Because it's backups are backups.
Yeah. So your background, obviously, you can tell.
Yep.
You're the tech head.
Yep.
You've obviously come from the installer background.
Yep.
And had the idea and brought it all to fruition.
Yep.
So where do you come into the equation?
I come from a sales background. From an early age, I've been involved in businesses and grown them from nothing to, multi-million-pound turnover companies, exited them and done the same again. And then I was approached by the investors, and they had an opportunity for me. I came down and I was blown away with the place, like everyone is that comes down here.
Yeah.
And I just saw it as a massive opportunity in my next step in my career.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, presumably as well, with the contacts and communication you built over the year, then obviously adds extra weight to it as well. So
it's a perfect combination.
It is.
Yeah, and it's so exciting. The future for Aspire monitoring is so exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah, I imagine. I'm proud to have my cameras monitored by you. So you mentioned investors a few times. So, because I was going to say, obviously you come from an installer background.
Yep.
So then having this multi-million-pound monitoring station.
Yep.
So do you bring, you'd help guidance?
Yeah, so it was, I think when we come up with the ideas, obviously, and I was working out how much it's going to cost to build, you can't just walk into the bank and say, give me all this money to build obviously a bomb-proof alarm receiving centre, because they say to you, well, show me a case study from somewhere else. Well, I can't go and knock on another door of another alarm receiving centre and say, I'd like to know how it all works. They won't tell you.
No.
They're not going to do that. So, and to be fair, private investors was the best way, because you've got the business guidance. It means we're privately owned, which means that we can decorate it the way we have when we were designing it. And we thought, you know what? Let's spend an extra $100,000 making it look amazing.
Yeah.
We can do that. No issues at all. Obviously, as part of the group, we have a data center. Ties in really well. It means we can offer a lot of services that, like off-site storage. We have a few sites where they've said to us, "Oh, we need off-site storage. Can you help us with it?" Yeah, not a problem at all. We've got a data center, so we can help you with that. And obviously, we need a data center for this.
What you do here.
For what we do here. So it tied in really well, and I think it sold itself with everything when we were doing it and looking for the funding, and it just paid off. It was very fortunate.
Right, it's where we are here.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the 2 years that it's taken, to build it with everything that's going on, the finish on it now is immaculate.
Yeah,
it's what it reminds me of is like, it just has that high-end premium feel about it. It's like high-end car showroom. You go in there and it's just pristine. Everything, no matter which way you look, it looks amazing.
Yeah, we could have saved a lot of money by obviously just keeping it very basic. But like you say, you've come in here today and you're blown away. It's a great talking point, and I think it just gives you confidence. Why would somebody invest so much money into building something and making it look like this? Well, hopefully they think that we do the same with the customer service and obviously the service that we deliver. Not just in it to make loads of money. It's something there that we're passionate about.
You just said the word there, and I think that's ultimately why ideas come to fruition, but why some ideas do so well, because when it's not always, well, in the first instance, where it's not always directly financially led, it's a passion. Because when you're doing something like this or starting a journey like this, you'll have to have the passion behind you.
Of course you do.
Because if you haven't got the passion behind you, those 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hour days, when you're trying to get the building ready, I know because I've just been through the same pain myself. You need to have that.
I remember years ago, before there was any private investment, I tried building one in a small office that I had at the time, thinking, it can't be that difficult. I remember getting 4 of the small 22-inch monitors on the wall and thought, just sitting here 24 hours a day and offer it. And then you start really looking into it, and you're like, this isn't going to work. You need to go all out, and you need to do it properly.
You have definitely gone all out.
And I was very fortunate to obviously find that, and then I was just very fortunate to get that.
So it's good. So what's the next steps, Dave? How are we driving it?
It's so exciting. Sleepless nights, everything. No, we're networking with with the installers all over the UK. We have meetings, probably at least a meeting a day here with a new installer.
They literally have been in and out all day whilst I've been here.
And it's so refreshing. They come down here and they see it and they're just blown away. We give them a tour of the ARC. We'll come in here, have a sit down, have a coffee, have a chat, talk about their experiences before with other ARCs and what the problems that they've solved, and then tell them what we can offer. And 9 times out of 10, they're going out here and giving us sites.
Happy days.
Yeah. One thing I will mention is we are exhibiting on the 5th, 6th and 7th of April down at the NEC.
Nice.
We've got a great stand there with a replica of our video wall.
Yep.
And any guys that want to talk to us more, if you don't get a chance to fill out the inquiry form on the website.
Is that down at the security show?
Down at the security show, yep. Come and meet me. I'll be there and on those 3 days. It's actually my birthday on the 7th, so
Bring cake.
bring cake on the 7th, yeah. And Adam will be there, and our ARC manager, Gareth, he'll be there as well.
Yeah.
And we've got some cool things going on there as well. I won't say too much now, but come down.
That's it. I'm asking people what are the next plans.
Yep.
I can only tell you so much, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, no. Well,
it's exciting, yeah.
Oh, thank you, Richard.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, I've even learned even more about your offerings. We're going to go in there now, have a look at small bits, look at our cameras, and show another little bit of a video. Well, thank you both very much for your time today.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.